Hey guys, it's Chef Doreece with the Sylvia Center, a food and nutrition program based here in New York City and also upstate in Columbia County. Today I am joined by my son.
Hi, I'm Jalen, or you can call me Chef Jalen because I did this before in the guacamole video. So it's nice to see you guys again.
We're going to be making what today?
We're going to be making pizza dough to go with our marinara sauce.
Nice. So I did make some marinara sauce, so you guys can check out that video. It's going to be posted on our YouTube page and also our Instagram and Facebook and our blog. But today we are going to be focusing on our pizza dough. We're going to be using a yeast-based dough. Before we get started, because this is a hands-on exercise, we are going to get all washed up and then we're going to be ready to make our dough. So we'll be right back. Alright guys, we're back and we're all washed up. As you can see, I have a glove on one of my hands. I scratched it a little bit earlier, so because I have on a bandage, I have to wear a glove. Whenever you have a cut on your hand, it is imperative that you wear a glove all the time. And before you put the glove on, you have to wash your hands. When your glove becomes dirty or rips, you have to change it, wash your hands, and put on a new glove. Today we're going to be using some all-purpose flour. You can use whole wheat flour. We have preheated our oven to 375 degrees. We're going to be using a sheet pan to make our pizza dough on. There's some marinara going in the background, and that's going to go right on top of our pizza. So, you want to get started, Jalen? You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, so read off the recipe. What are we going to need?
Alright, so what we're going to need for this pizza dough, we'll need 2 cups of flour, 1 tablespoon of yeast, 1 tablespoon of sugar, and 2/3 cup of warm water. Alright guys, so now we're going to start building our dough, and what we start with is our flour. At the moment, we only need 1 cup of flour, so what you do is you scoop it up, then you push forward, and you level out and push away. Then put it in your bowl, put the cup back. And we don't need 2 cups right now because 1 cup is basically a whole piece of dough. And if the dough is too wet with the yeast and all the ingredients, you will start to gradually put your 2nd cup of flour in. Alright, so now we're gonna get our tablespoon of yeast. So basically what you do, open up the yeast, take your tablespoon and basically scoop it. This is enough, so we're gonna put it in there. Now we need to incorporate our 1 tablespoon of sugar because the yeast is a living organism that needs to eat, so it's basically gonna feed off of the sugar. A pinch of salt is all your fingers, is not a handful, so you add that in there. We cover it. Now we're gonna add our water, which is 2/3 cup of water, warm water specifically. So you add it into the mixture. We add in the warm water because the yeast needs warm water. It needs warmth and moisture so we can make our dough, so the yeast can bloom. This is what is going to contribute to the dough rising. So now this is where we get dirty. We have to mix in our yeast with all our ingredients. I have my 1 cup of flour here just in case we need it if I think the mixture is way too wet.
So now it's time to get everything incorporated together. Jalen has 1 cup of flour to the side. That's his 2nd cup that he's going to be able to add into the mixture if it's a little bit too wet. Jalen's choosing to use a spatula because he doesn't want to get
my hands
dirty, but pizza is fun and dirty, so by the end of this video he will be nice and floured up. Okay, so give it a mix. We're not going to over mix it because flour has something called gluten in it, and if we over mix it, it's going to be tough, and we need our dough to stretch. So at this point, because it is still a very wet mixture, Jalen is going to gradually add in his 2nd cup of flour. The goal is to get the dough to form a ball. We can do this by hand. We can do this with a spoon. I prefer by hand. Or we can put this in a stand mixer with a hook attachment. It's still a little wet, so let's add some more flour. This is a messy project, so that's okay. So now we're at the point where Jalen really can't avoid but to touch his dough. Awesome! So get your hands in there. Let's put the spatula to the side. And let's try to get all of that flour incorporated into that dough ball. So if your dough gets a little bit too wet, you can always add a little bit more flour. If it gets a little bit too dry, you can add a tiny bit of water to your mixture. So Jalen is at a really good point with his dough right now. So what we're actually going to do is stop kneading it. We're going to transfer it to a table. Before we put it on the table, we should always dust our surface. So the goal is not to spread the dough right now. It's just to finish combining it. We're going to knead it a little bit and then we're going to let it rest. So what Jalen is doing is he's folding the dough and then he's also pressing it down. That's what we call kneading. The consistency of Jalen's dough right now is pretty nice. It's not too wet, not too dry.
Okay guys, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna put the dough in the oiled bowl using the olive oil. We're just gonna add a little bit to the bowl. So I'm gonna put my dough into the bowl with the oil in it. It's not a lot, but it's not a little bit. It's just right. So I'm going to move it around so it doesn't stick. And on, so no parts of the dough will stick, so I'm just moving around the oil. After we do this, we're gonna cover it in saran wrap. We put the dough in saran wrap. Now we're just gonna let the dough rest for at least 10 to 15 minutes. Alright guys, so my dough has rolls. I let it sit for about the 10 to 15 minutes. Now what we're about to do is that we're about to stretch out our dough and get it to a size that we want it to be for our pizza. So we have our bench scraper, our bench flour, and our rolling pin. So what we're basically going to do is dust the surface to prevent the dough from sticking to the table. And what we're about to do. So now we're going to roll out our dough to get it to our round shape that we want for our pizza. And we're not going to push too hard. We're going to roll it lightly as so. And we flip. Now, kind of play with it to get it wider. If it starts to tear, just pinch it back together. We got our dough to where we want it. Now we're going to dress our dough. So we got our tomato sauce. Not gonna get a lot of it, but we want a good amount. Put it right here in the middle. Just moving it out. Also going to be doing an olive oil brush on my crust because I want it to be a golden brown look, and we're gonna put our top our cheese. Olive oil brush. So now we're gonna let it sit in the oven at 375 degrees for 20 minutes. Alright guys, so I took my pizza out the oven and I let it sit for about 20 minutes because it was very hot. I cut it into 4 sections, and you can add various toppings. I just like cheese because I'm just a cheese person. You can add meats, you can add vegetables, you can even add fruits. Specifically the fruits, my favorite is actually pineapple, and that's a lot of fan favorites. If you would like to see more videos like this, go to sylviacenter.org. Remember, stay healthy and keep cooking.